you broskies asked me to draw even more characters from the cute and disturbing in Critterbox mod Sprunki as humans. Drawing Pinky with her face ripped off totally didn't give me nightmares or anything. Anyways, let's draw some more Sprunkies. First up is Venia. Venia is the 5th character and is also the 5th B in Sprunki, being one of the very few female characters. Venia appears as a green Sprunki along with vines imitating the appearance of hair, including several pink flowers, topped off with a singular horn on her head. Like many Sprunkies, Veneria's facial expression is very laid back and calm. Her music is a soothing shaky sound, which is very similar to a maraca. However, when horror mode kicks on, Venia is no longer so bright and lively. Instead, the vines and flowers on her head have withered and died, along with the plant now having grown inside Venia and rising through her eye sockets, causing her eyes to come out of her head. Her mouth is wide open, as if she's screaming internally. Her shaking sound is now much more intense and fast, all while she herself is shaking violently. And yes, it is confirmed the plant literally grew inside her. Now that's freaky, and probably extremely painful. How it happened, I'm not sure. My mom used to tell me if I ate a watermelon seed, a watermelon would grow inside me. So maybe that's what happened to Venia. It's important to note that her hair isn't actually hair. It's actually a wig that can photosynthesize itself. So maybe the plant got angry? I would normally guess Wenda would be the culprit, but I'm not sure what Sprunki could have caused a death like this. It could have been black. It's noted on the wiki that this appearance may be designed to resemble a slug, possibly referencing how slugs eat plants in gardens, which would kinda make sense. Veneria's horror form is actually a reference to a more than disturbing Happy Tree Friends scene that I won't show here because, yeah, no. You better not look up Happy Tree Friends, I'm warning you. Her design is honestly my favorite. It's very creative and pretty different from all the other Sprunkies. I also have a feeling Venia and Pinky were good friends before she, you know, died. She has a hobby for gardening, which definitely makes sense. Venia 100% gives me hippie vibes with how chill she is and her love for nature. I kept her hair mostly the same and gave her a flower crown. And of course, she's wearing cool green eyeshadow. Her dress is also made of plants, the skirt being leaves and the straps also having flower buttons on them. Here is human Venia. Next up, we've got Brud. Brud is the 7th character and the 2nd effect in Sprunki. Brud is a brown Sprunki with a large bucket sitting on his head and a very goofy facial expression, with his pupils going opposite directions. Brud does have a secret though. A small spike is hidden under his bucket. It's stated he wears a bucket on his head to actually hide the spike, so I guess maybe he's insecure about it. His sound is described as a chip noise, which we can assume is probably created by the spike on his head tapping the bucket. When horror mode turns on, Brud tragically loses his bucket along with a massive chunk now gone from his head, both of which were eaten by Simon. Yeah, he ate the bucket too, and choked on it for a little while. Simon also decided to take a little bite out of Brud's torso, exposing some flesh and his ribcage. His new sound effect is very distorted. Oddly enough, his facial expression stays the exact same as before. Brud is described as the quote-unquote dumb character, and apparently Brud has such a small brain that when he was bit by Simon, he was totally fine because Simon didn't even reach his brain. So basically, Brud is alive because he is stupid. Pro logic. Fun fact, in his original horror concept, Brud was supposed to actually have acid on his face, but I like the current version better because it's funny. He also can't feel pain, which would probably explain why his facial expression is exactly the same as before. It's said that Brud can talk, but not in full sentences. And he understands simple things like color and sympathy. And he enjoys eating moss when nobody is watching. Okay, at this point, I'm just reading off of random facts. This guy is goofy and I love him. I wanted to keep the same silly dude vibes in his human design. His hair is scruffy and messy, and of course I didn't forget the bucket. Since Brud is so odd, I wanted to amplify that even more in his human form. So he's wearing polka dot underwear instead of pants, along with an oversized brown sweater. Brud may not know how to dress properly, but he does know how to put a bucket on his head. Good job, Brud. I've included some band-aids on his face cause we know he'd be clumsy. I used to like Wenda the most, but after learning more about him, Brud is my favorite silly guy. Here is human Brud. Here comes Jevin. Jevin is the 19th character and 4th vocalist, appearing as a dark blue Sprunki with a darker blue robe and a calm yet ominous facial expression. His vocal is a very deep-sounding male choir. However, when the game switches to horror mode, Jevin's appearance hardly changes, the only change being that the outlines of his character are gone and are heavily shaded, just like everyone else. He appears completely uninjured and also completely unfazed, making him the only character to not change at all in horror mode. In this version, his singing basically sounds more unsettling, with a different melody. This has raised a lot of questions from the fandom. Many, including myself, even speculating Jevin may have had something to do with killing the other Sprunkies. Why else would he be totally safe and unfazed by seeing everyone die? But despite these suspicions, apparently he actually is on the good side, as confirmed by the creator themselves. It is true that Jevin is a cultist. What the cult is about or what they do, we have no idea. But hopefully, we'll learn more about that in the future. It's important to note that members of cults are often heavily controlled by their leaders in most aspects of their life. So since Jevin is a cultist, we can assume he is a rather reserved person and probably quite isolated from the others, and mostly keeps to himself. For now, Jevin remains a mystery, but I wonder what's under his hood. Also, apparently a lot of people ship Jevin and Tunner. I don't know why. I don't even know if they've ever even met each other, but hey, to each their own. I don't know about you guys, but I ship Ratty and Jevin. Just saying. They both look kinda angry. Out of all the characters I've drawn, this one came out the most simple, as his original design is pretty simple since he's just a blue guy with a hood. But since I imagine Jevin to be more reserved, he wouldn't wear anything too flashy. I did give him some cool hair though. Here is Jevin the cultist. Coming up next is Sky. Sky is a 10th character and 5th effect in Sprunki, being a cyan blue boy with bare ears and a tired or relaxed facial expression, and also a little hair sticking out on his head. His sound is a music box, and it's honestly one of my favorite sounds in the game. But when horror mode turns on, Sky appears with 4 metal rods piercing through his chest and his head, one of them going through his eye socket, removing his eyeball, and another rod going through his jaw, leaving his mouth wide open. His music box in horror mode is slowed down with a lower, unsettling tone, as the rods shift around while he plays his music. This has got to be the most brutal death I have seen in Sprunki so far. What's even more messed up is that Sky is 14 years old, being the only Sprunki who is a kid, and this poor little guy got the worst of it. Maybe Wenda saw him watching Skibidi Toilet and she couldn't take it anymore. Because Sky is so young, I drew him to look a bit younger than the rest. His hair is somewhat curly, and he's wearing a cute bear hat. According to the creator, Sky has a hobby of collecting teddy bears, so he's holding one. His blue sweater has clouds on it. I thought that'd be cool since his name is Sky. To me, his facial expression comes off as tired, so I made him rubbing his eyes and yawning like a sleepy teddy bear. It also makes sense because the melody of a music box is something you can fall asleep to. And let me tell you guys, it was painful making the horror version because Sky is so pure. It turned out so brutal I almost wanted to censor some of it. But we're already this far. No turning back now. Here is Sky the teddy human. Now let's draw Ratty. Ratty is the 2nd character and 2nd beat in Sprunki. His appearance is pretty simple, a red guy with various horns on top of his head, along with an angry facial expression, and his beat is a simple drum. However, in horror mode, Ratty has lost the entire right half of his face, now showing his skull, along with half of his body being completely ripped off from the bottom, revealing that. He also, for some reason, has lost his left eyebrow. Maybe Wenda ate it. And to top it off, he's dangling from a spaghetti noodle. His drum sound is now a loud banging sound, almost sounding like a gunshot. Needless to say, his new form is grotesque at best. We don't fully know how he died though, since a lot of things happened to him. What actually caused the death? Was it the spaghetti noodle? His body being sawed in half? His face getting taken off? Which one happened first? All I know is whoever killed Ratty went overkill, literally. Not surprisingly, the creator said Ratty is in fact a very angry person, and he also likes exercising and watching sports. Lastly, for some unknown reason, Ratty hit Lime in the head with a hammer. So that's why he looks like that. For Ratty's human appearance, I gave him spiked hair to resemble his horns, as well as spiked teeth cause that just goes with the look. He's wearing a red jacket with a fur trim, paired with black pants. I imagine Ratty as a rebel type of guy, so I also included a spiked collar around his neck for the bad boy look. And yes, I gave him abs since he works out, and it also just makes him look cooler. In his right eye is a pupil the shape of an X, foreshadowing that he loses that eye later on. Here's bad boy Ratty. Okay, that was painful to say. Coming up on this list, we've got Derpal. Derpal is the 12th character in Sprunki and the 2nd melody. He appears as a dragon with a dark purple color with darker purple horns on top of his head, as well as dragon ears, and his melody is a trumpet sound. In his horror version, his appearance doesn't change much at first glance. As we can see, his eyes are widened and he's heavily shaded like everyone else. But when he begins to sing, his mouth becomes very elongated to a disturbing degree, his head shaking violently as he lets out a deep and eerie trumpet sound. Derpal is is one of the characters I am most curious about, as he isn't actually dead, but he also isn't listed as alive. Instead, Derpal is simply under the category abnormal, and we don't get to learn anything else about what happened to him in horror mode. All we know is that his mouth is way bigger than it should be, and his skin in horror mode is described as quote-unquote very stretchy. Did he eat the Gumu Gumu fruit? Who knows? Oh, and we also know that he likes eating burgers. It is confirmed by the creator that Derpal is alive, and that he was friends with Simon. Many people speculated that Ratty and Derpal were related, having similar features such as horns on their head, but that theory has been debunked. We don't know if Derpal is on the good side or the bad side, but considering he isn't harmed in horror mode and he still looks really freaky, it's definitely a possibility he has killed one or more of the characters, or maybe helped in some way. Personally, I think he's evil, but let me know what you broskies think in the comments. His personality is described as quote-unquote very calm, so I'm drawing Derpal as a laid-back, chill dude. Because he is a dragon, I was sure to make his hairstyle closely resemble one, like his original appearance, and also adding a braid because I think long hair suits Derpal, but also to resemble dragon hair. He's wearing a jacket with a few different shades of purple, along with black jeans. Here is human Derpal. Last but not least, we're doing Mr. Fun Computer. Mr. Fun Computer is the 16th character in Sprunki and the first voice. Unlike the others though, he is not actually a Sprunki. Instead, he appears as a computer sitting on the table with a smiling face, a cable beneath him, and a colorful hat. Mr. Fun Computer is the only character who sings actual lyrics for his sound.
Hello, would you like to have some fun with us right now? Come on, sing along with us in this fun time.
Well, if you don't count Wenda's weird hey sound anyways. As he sings, words and colorful pictures flash on his screen. However, during horror mode, he is no longer wearing his hat, and instead of the friendly smiley face we were met with before, we now see he has a disturbingly realistic face on screen. We don't know who this man is, or if he had anything to do with the killings. He may just be a random picture and not actually a character in the game. During this phase, Mr. Fun Computer's lyrics are no longer joyful. It is confirmed he did survive horror mode. Well, he wasn't really alive to begin with because he's a computer, but anyways. He was actually built by Garnold and Clucker. It's a weird name. So that's a cool fact. It's also noted that despite being over 18 years old, he still looks and acts like a child. So I'm drawing him as exactly that. In a joyful pose, since Mr. Fun Computer is a happy dude. He's wearing a rainbow striped shirt to match his hat, as well as some short overalls. Here is Mr. Fun Human. Hey broskies, thanks so much for watching. Who is your favorite I drew? And if you want me to draw all of the Sprunki characters, be sure to leave a like on the video, and that just might happen. Special thanks to my swag channel members, Stan Roblox, Brandy Palmer, Venus is the Hottest Planet, Kittens World, and Sikagoo Rosie. You broskies are awesome. Okay, bye!